Have you ever spent hours studying only to find your mind blank the moment you need the information? You read the chapter, you highlighted the notes, but when the test is on your desk or the presentation begins, it's as if you never opened the book. This is the universal struggle of the student, the professional, and the lifelong learner. But what if this wasn't a problem with your inherent ability, but rather a fundamental flaw in your learning strategy? What if there were simple, scientifically verified methods that could fundamentally change how your brain encodes and retains information? Cognitive science has provided the unambiguous answers. The key to mastery is not about the quantity of time you spend studying, it is about the quality and efficiency of how you utilize your brain's natural mechanisms for memory formation. In this comprehensive breakdown, we will systematically deconstruct 5 powerful cognitive psychology techniques. Each technique is rigorously backed by decades of research and has been proven to train your brain to remember complex material faster and for a significantly longer duration. These are the very same principles used by top academics, accelerated learning experts, and world-class memory champions to master vast amounts of information with apparent ease. Pay close attention, because the final method, a profoundly simple technique known as the ultimate learning hack, forces true understanding and knowledge consolidation. The first and most foundational technique is active recall, also known in scientific literature as retrieval practice. This method is widely considered the single most effective study method, a conclusion repeatedly confirmed by extensive meta-analyses across the field of cognitive science. The common yet deeply inefficient approach to studying is passive review. This involves methods like rereading notes, highlighting text, or simply scanning a textbook. While these activities generate a false sense of familiarity and productivity, they are largely ineffective for long-term retention. Your brain does not have to exert significant effort to recognize information it just saw, and consequently it fails to create a strong, durable memory trace. The fundamental principle of active recall is to shift the cognitive process from passive recognition to effortful active retrieval. Instead of merely reviewing your material, you must actively force your brain to recall the information entirely without any prompts or cues. For instance, after completing a chapter or a section of study material, immediately close the source text. Take a blank piece of paper and write down everything you can remember about what you just read. Alternatively, utilize the question-answer method, transform every heading, subheading, or key concept in your notes into a challenging question, and then attempt to answer it aloud or in writing without consulting your materials. The critical element is the deliberate, effortful struggle required to retrieve the knowledge. It is this act of forced retrieval that physically strengthens the underlying neural pathways associated with that information, making it far easier and quicker to access in the future. In learning, the difficulty encountered during the retrieval attempt is the very mechanism that makes the process effective, cementing the knowledge deep within your long-term memory reserves. The second technique is spaced repetition, which stands as the definitive, scientifically verified antidote to the futile and exhausting cycle of cramming. If you have ever relied upon an all-night study session before a major deadline or examination, you know that the information seems to vanish shortly after the immediate pressure is released. This predictable pattern of memory decay was formally identified and quantified by German psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus in 1885. His pioneering research yielded the forgetting curve, a crucial model demonstrating how we lose new information exponentially quickly unless we actively intervene at strategic moments to strengthen the memory. Spaced repetition is the systematic process of reviewing information at intelligently increasing intervals. The process begins with initial study today. You then schedule a review session again after 1 day, then after approximately 3 days, then after 1 week, then 2 weeks, and so on. Each subsequent review session is timed to occur precisely when your brain is just about to forget the material. This repeated, timely retrieval at the point of near forgetting powerfully signals to your brain that this specific information is critical for survival or high-level function, compelling it to be transferred from volatile short-term working memory into durable, reliable long-term storage. This method leverages the brain's natural biological learning cycle, leading to dramatically higher retention rates with significantly less overall study time and reduced cognitive stress. For those managing large volumes of data, digital tools like Anki or Quizlet are specifically engineered to automate this scientifically proven scheduling, making the implementation of spaced repetition seamless and highly effective. The third technique is the memory palace, formally and historically recognized as the method of Lhoksai. This method is far from a modern novelty. It was used extensively by ancient Greek and Roman orators, allowing them to memorize lengthy, complex speeches verbatim. Today, it remains a cornerstone technique utilized by modern memory athletes who perform feats of exceptional recall. Its immense power stems from exploiting the brain's exceptional innate capacity for spatial and visual memory, a function primarily managed by the hippocampus, one of the most ancient and powerful structures in the brain. The application is straightforward yet profound. First, you choose a location you know in intricate detail. This could be your childhood home, your current apartment, or a regular walking route. This location serves as your palace. Second, you take the abstract information you need to memorize, whether it's names, dates, concepts, or formulas, and convert that data into vivid, often exaggerated, bizarre, or humorous mental images. Third, you mentally place these unique images at specific sequential points along a defined path through your familiar location. For instance, to remember a list of key historical events, you might visualize the first event as a giant smoking cannonball sitting on your front porch, the second event as a famous historical figure arguing with your houseplant in the hallway, and so on. When you need to recall the list, you simply take a structured mental walk through your palace. The strong spatial and visual cues you intentionally created will trigger the rapid and accurate recall of the associated information. This technique effectively links abstract data, which is difficult for the brain to hold, to concrete, memorable locations that your brain is already powerfully wired to remember. The fourth technique is chunking, an essential method for efficiently managing the brain's fundamentally limited processing capacity. Extensive cognitive science research has established that our short-term working memory can only hold a severely limited number of discrete items at any given moment. While the classic estimate suggested 7 items, plus or minus 2, modern research indicates that the effective capacity for entirely new, unrelated information is often closer to 3 to 5 items. Crucially, however, the brain treats meaningful groups of information as single items, or chunks. Chunking functions by organizing otherwise unrelated or overwhelming pieces of information into smaller, highly meaningful, coherent units. Your brain then processes and stores each unit as a single item, dramatically increasing the total volume of information you can effectively manage and recall. Consider the common example of a phone number. The 10 digits are not memorized individually but are grouped into 3 distinct chunks. In an academic or professional context, this translates to actively seeking patterns, hierarchies, and categories within the material. Instead of attempting to memorize 20 isolated historical dates, you group them into 4 chunks based on the decade, the governing political theme, or the key figures involved during that era. By identifying and applying the underlying structure, you transform a random, cognitively taxing list into a coherent, navigable narrative. For complex subjects like organic chemistry or biology, you could chunk all the parts of a specific cellular structure together or group all the steps of a metabolic process into one mnemonic device. This systematic organization drastically reduces cognitive load, making even the most complicated topics significantly easier to grasp, process, and ultimately recall under pressure. The fifth and most profound technique, the one that guarantees mastery over mere memorization, is to teach what you learn. This approach is so universally effective that it has been formalized and popularized as the Feynman technique, named after Richard Feynman, the Nobel Prize-winning physicist renowned globally for his unparalleled ability to distill the most complex scientific ideas into the simplest, most accessible terms. The very act of teaching forces an exceptionally deep level of cognitive processing. To successfully explain a concept to another person, you must first synthesize the information, identify the core principles, and then reconstruct the knowledge fluently using your own language and logic. This demanding process of reorganization, simplification, and verbal articulation solidifies genuine understanding far beyond the capabilities of passive reading or simple rote memorization. The true transformative power of this method lies in its immediate ability to reveal the precise gaps in your own knowledge structure. If you cannot explain a concept simply, clearly, and concisely, it is an undeniable indicator that you do not yet truly understand it at a fundamental level. This immediate, unforgiving feedback loop allows you to pinpoint exactly where your understanding is weak or superficial, enabling you to return to the source material and fill those specific gaps with targeted study, rather than wasting time reviewing concepts you already know. If a willing live audience is unavailable, there are two highly effective alternatives. First, explain the concept aloud, as if you are teaching it to an invisible student or a rubber duck, aiming for a level of clarity and simplicity needed for a child or a complete novice to fully understand. Second, record yourself explaining the topic as if creating a video tutorial, then play it back and critique your own explanation rigorously for clarity, completeness, and accuracy. This method ensures true mastery by demanding complete reconstructive understanding, not just superficial familiarity or recognition. Implementing even a single one of these 5 science-backed methods, active recall, spaced repetition, the memory palace, chunking, or the Feynman technique, will produce a significant, measurable, and rapid improvement in how quickly and reliably you memorize and understand complex information. These are not mere mental shortcuts or tricks. They are highly efficient cognitive strategies designed specifically to work in harmony with your brain's biological wiring and natural learning cycles. They serve to replace inefficient, time-wasting habits with a systematic, evidence-based approach to knowledge acquisition and retention that maximizes your cognitive potential. Now the systematic breakdown is complete and the knowledge is yours. It is your turn to apply these tools. Which of these 5 powerful techniques will you commit to implementing first to fundamentally upgrade your learning efficiency and information mastery? Let us know your choice and your experience in the comments below. If you found this detailed breakdown of memory science and cognitive hacks helpful and insightful, please like the video, subscribe for more content on maximizing productivity and cognitive potential, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our future deep dive videos.